Hello, and welcome to my channel, Seek to Find. My name is Kathy, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today in this question and answer period. Video one, actually I've separated the questions into two parts. This first video is on general information, just questions and some answers on general information. And then part two will be more about individual and group questions. So I want to first of all thank everyone who sent the questions in. I appreciate it very much. The other thing is that each one of these videos, each one of these questions could be a 2-hour workshop in and of themselves. So the answers that I give are hopefully short, concise, and can guide you into at least knowing where to look maybe for some more answers if you need those. The other thing I want to share real quick is just a difference in, for me, the terminology that I use. Instead of saying interpreting dreams, I usually speak of gleaning messages or getting information from your dreams, because when you talk about dream interpretation, that kind of connotates a right or wrong answer, a right or wrong interpretation for the dream. And as we've talked about before, dreams have many, many layers, and so therefore there are going to be many messages for you. So I use the term gleaning messages or getting information rather than dream interpretation. The other important thing to note is that only the dreamer knows with any certainty what the dream actually means for him or her. I also wanted to say that I have combined similar questions. That way there's just to shorten it, and there's to leave out some redundancy that would occur if I just answered each individual question. So without further ado, I would like to begin with the first question. Again, remember, at any point you can like this video if you like it, and you can always hit subscribe at any point if you feel like you would like more videos, to watch more videos like this. Number one, why do we need or want to discuss our dreams? I've been told they are nothing more than subconsciously rehashing the day. What can I learn by studying my dreams? So again, I did a video on just dream information in general. It's a two-part, so you can get more information from that. But for now, doing dream work leads you to emotional, psychological, spiritual, and sometimes even physical wholeness and health. Remember that it's our unconscious that's trying to share with us information that we need to know in order to grow and transform and heal. Things that we deny, things that we ignore, and things that we project onto others. And sometimes we just don't want to know that information, because that information is sometimes tough to swallow, or at least it has been for me. It's like I've realized things about myself that actually was quite embarrassing. It's like, oh my gosh, did everybody see this but me? And the answer to that is probably yeah. So it can be very, very difficult, but well worth it as you grow and mature and transform into who you really can be. Another important part of this is if we need to genuinely open up to that self-understanding and to dream work so that we can in fact learn more about ourselves. And it is therein lies our happiness and contentment. As hard as it is, our happiness and contentment can only come through self-knowledge as we learn more about who we are in deep down, without all of the roles that we play and without all of the things that people have told us that we've bought into. We need to return some of those things and not get any money back, just get ourselves back, so to speak. And for Christians and people in Judaism, there's a rich history of dream work in Christianity and in Judaism. And I apologize, I'm not sure about Islam. I know that they do look at dream work as in God giving us dreams, but I'm not sure how exactly the Islamic faith uses that. So I apologize for not being more informed about that. But a Jewish wise sage once said that a dream not worked is like an unopened letter from God. And I did want to just give you this scripture verse because I love it in connection with dreams, and it's in Job 33. says, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon mortals, when they slumber on their beds, then God opens their ears. So that is clearly a reference to God speaking to us in our dreams. The second question, are all people in my dreams always a part of myself? Are they ever themselves? So the first thing I would say to that is the dream maker, your unconscious, the spirit, will always use things you know and can make associations with in order to give you messages about yourself. Therefore, if you dream about an individual, you would want to make associations about that individual. You know, if you were telling somebody about that individual who didn't know them, make those associations, and then those very things you use to describe that person, you look at yourself. You look at those things yourself, because you've been projecting things onto that individual. So, for example, if I have a coworker named Anna, and she's in my dream, and I do some associations. Well, I think of her as a negative person, controlling, nothing's ever good enough for her, etc., etc. Then I would go, okay, is there a part of me that is negative and I haven't realized it? Is there a part of me that nobody can ever do anything right? And that is how we learn and grow about ourselves, because we do project things onto others without us being aware of it. So dreams help us get there and realize, come to that realization. Now, sometimes people do represent themselves, and it would just depend on what the dream has and what message you get from the dream. You might need to do something like go ask forgiveness from that individual, or you might need to go help that individual. You might need to pray for that individual. It would just depend on what that dream had for you. But sometimes a person will represent themselves. But I would say initially just work it as if they are representing a part of you, and that other will come, because the majority of the time it is trying to show things about yourself. That person will have attributes that you need to see about yourself. Number 3, does a dark dream mean shadow? And why are some dreams so scary? So I'm not completely sure what is meant by a dark dream. I don't know if you mean nightmares, or if sometimes a dream can have an oppressive nature, or gloomy, or even sometimes be film noir-like. So I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but I will say that in looking at the shadow, to describe what the shadow is, it's those things about ourselves in our unconscious that we deny, we ignore, we disown, we don't want to know about them. And sometimes this can be desirable things as well, you know, a bright shadow, and then undesirable things we don't want to know. In the desirable things we sometimes deny about ourselves, we don't think we're good enough for that. We don't think that's really a part of us. So that shadow can also come to fruition in your dream. For some people who do dream work, all dreams involve shadow work, because it's information coming from our unconscious. So is our unconscious and shadow synonymous? Can you use them interchangeably? Most of the time I would say that's a real possibility, because something that's in our unconscious that we deny is shadow part. Something in our unconscious that we've just forgotten is not necessarily shadow. It's just something that we've forgotten, and we need to learn to live into it possibly. So on nightmares and scary dreams, generally these are used to get our attention. Sometimes we have ignored information, we do not follow through with it, and so dream work can get really scary, or our dreams, can get really scary if we're not paying attention. So those are just saying, pay attention. And sometimes it's a nightmare that we need to it's a warning, and we need to definitely immediately pay attention to that and work with that. Number 4, how detailed should I get in my journal with my dreams? Well, the more details, the more likely you are to learn about yourself. However, do you really need to write down that the dog was brown? Well, you just might need to write down that the dog was brown. It depends on the role that the dog is playing in your dream, or that the color plays in your dreams. Now, if the dog's color changed, you would definitely want to write that down. Or if the dog's color was odd, like if it was green or purple or yellow, or, well, scratch the yellow because there are yellow labs, so scratch that. But maybe if it was blue, some odd color, you would definitely want to write that down. Do you need to write down what kind of shoes people were wearing? Well, maybe. It just depends again on what role did shoes play in the dream. So the other thing about that, you might not know something's important until you start working on the dream. That's definitely happened to me. I've been working on a dream, and details of the dream surface again as I'm working on it. Details that I didn't write down because I didn't see them as important, but realized, oh wow, I do need to look at this. So sometimes you just have to work the dream to know exactly what's important. Now, if writing too much detail deters you from doing dream work at all, just hit the highlights, because the most important thing is that you do dream work, you document something about your dream, and you actually work on it. Again, dreams have many layers, and therefore the more you write down, the more layers that you're going to be able to mine, so to speak. Number 5, do animals dream? So there's been definitely been research done on this, and it's been discovered that most mammals do in fact dream, or most mammals do in fact experience rapid eye movement, sleep stage, and a lot of them we think do dream, except not like humans dream. So for example, rats who were exposed to a maze with cheese in it, while they were asleep, during their REM stage, they actually did route out a map to get to that cheese the next day. Cats has been discovered that cats actually see images in their dreams. So for more research on this, you would just have to look at those specific research articles to learn more specifically about that. So the short answer is they definitely experience deep sleep, REM sleep, and it appears that most mammals do in fact dream in some way. Number 6, sometimes I feel different in my dream than I did when I woke up. Like I may be nonchalant in my dream, but when I wake up, it's scary to me. Why is that? So there's a couple of things going on here. First of all, in your dream, you're actually experiencing it. You're living it, so to speak. So you're experiencing it, and your feelings are as if the dream is actually real and it's actually happening to you. However, when you're awake, you're looking at it differently. You're analyzing it, you're reviewing it, you may be dreading it, you may be puzzled by it. So you will experience different feelings when you're awake. You might experience different feelings when you're awake and when you're asleep, because in one you're experiencing it, in one you're just reviewing it. The important thing though about feeling differently in your dream and when you wake up, the important thing about that is you can find out something about yourself. So you may want to ask the question like, why did that frighten me in my dream? I'm never frightened by anything like that in my outer life. So that would lead you into some self-discovery. Number 7, my dreams are so weird. Talking animals, time jumping, flying. Why is that? How do I make sense of it all? Well, all dreams are weird in some form or fashion. There's always some component of a dream that's, quote, weird. And if they weren't weird, we probably would not pay attention to them at all. So the other part of it is, remember, the language of dreams is metaphor. Therefore, in metaphors, you've got different images, you've got symbols, situations that are uncommon or exaggerated, and that are in fact weird in some kind of way. So in looking at that, it grabs our attention, as well as that's just metaphorical language, weird things. How do you make sense of it all? Dream work. Number 8. There is so much material available suggesting the meanings of symbols in dreams. How do I know what is legitimate? This is a really good question. And the first thing I would like to say, always remember any kind of image book, any kind of symbols, trying to look up what a symbol means, should be secondary to your personal associations with an image or a symbol. So you definitely want to look at some archetypal images and what they mean, but remember to first of all look at your associations with it. And the reason for that is because if you read the meaning of an archetypal image, you may be slanted and it may block your associations with that image. So that's why you want to do that first. So you would want to ask someone that you trust, someone that's done a lot of dream work or dream work for a long time, to suggest some kind of a reference for you, a resource for you. And then in that book, you could look at the references and resources that that author used. And that could help you, lead you, and guide you into more books. Books that talk about archetypal images, you would want to see what kind of history and background they give. If they don't give any history or background, you might not want to use that book necessarily. Also, a book like that you would want to see that it has different cultures referenced there, because in different cultures there can be different slants on images. And if you don't realize that, you might think some images and some meanings are contradictory when it's really just different cultures as well as time periods, depending on what time this image surfaced as an archetypal image. The other thing you would want to look at is what about the author? Has the author used personal and professional examples in the book? How they have used that, how successful it's been, and also how it can guide you and how you can use that. Number 9, what do dreams have to do with religion or faith? Again, I'm not completely sure about this question, what it means exactly or what it's asking. But what I will say is that for me, religion and faith are two different things. However, they can go together. But there are a lot of non-religious people who hold a lot of faith in the unconscious, in their dreams teaching them and guiding them and helping them to grow. And as I said earlier, for Christians, we have a rich history of God using dreams to guide and teach people who follow God and who trust in God to do that. So there's a thought and a belief and a faith that the Spirit is going to guide our unconscious, our true self, as we desire to grow more into the image of God that we are. And the more we heal, the more we grow into that image. Number 10, what does it mean if I can't remember my dreams? So reasons for lack of dream recall vary, and they're not all necessarily simple. For some individuals, it will be very simple why maybe they can't remember dreams. It could be diet, it could be just the times, the natural seasons changing. It could be stress, vitamins, diet. Drugs and alcohol can also play a role in not being able to recall your dreams. However, emotional and psychological issues are the big reasons primarily why people can't remember their dreams. Sometimes it's a resistance. People are resistant to recalling their dreams because they don't want to know really what it is that the dream is saying. So they're very resistant to their evolving consciousness, because it's difficult work. It is hard work, but it's well worth it. Another reason that people might not have a lot of dream recall is because there's no outlet, either individually or there's no social context to share their dreams. So it's kind of like, well, why dream? But then if you've got people who, like maybe they're even in a dream group or they work on dreams individually, but they still don't remember it, there could be just a real strong resistance of not wanting to really know what the dream message is and what it is in areas they need to grow. They don't want to share, because when you share a dream, you're very vulnerable to yourself and to someone else. And that puts you, it can be scary to do that, especially if you're not wanting to look at it in the first place. So that would be shadow work. That would be the shadow working that's causing you to not want to open up and be vulnerable and learn about yourself in ways that can be life-changing. So that would be shadow work and egoic. Kind of the ego resists that as well. It's like the ego's, no, I like exactly who I am. I don't want to change. I like being in control. But that's just part of that self-emptying and letting the ego heal in order to work together with, instead of in opposition to, our spirit self. The other thing, there's also, I did a video on dream recall. So that video's out there if you would like to watch that. That could help you understand a little bit about how to help yourself and put yourself in a better situation to recall your dreams. Again, I want to thank you for watching, and be sure and hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you would like more videos like this. Part 2 question and answer will be coming up, and again, those questions will revolve around individual dream work and group dream work. Again, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving, and be safe.